listening to The Burn. Gaming stuff, blazing fast.
Welcome to a new episode of The Burn, a podcast about gaming done blazing fast. I'm Aviv Manoach.
And I am Omer Kaplan. How are you?
Hello, I'm very good. I see that you noted in the show notes about no news. It's not that there is no news, it's because I just didn't put the links in. There is a lot of news to talk about.
Yes, there's a ton of stuff that happened since the last episode. So yes, for sure.
Yes. And beside that, like regular stuff. I've been very deep into Pokemon over the last 2 weeks.
The Legends one?
I played Legends and then I played some of Diamond Remake because I wanted a standard classic Pokemon game. So I played that, and that made me go back to Legends because it's just better in every way. And I'm very excited to the new ones that come out in November, which is part of the news.
Yes, okay, so at some point you need to explain something about Pokemon to me. So I played some of the very old ones, and then I played Shield. And they're both, they do all the Pokemon stuff, all the grinding, all the encounters, all the the story. Why would you get different versions of the same thing?
Because it's fun.
But you can grind in a different way, and it's all kind of the same.
The mainstream Pokemon games are mostly the same. I played Red, Generation 1, then Gold and Silver, then Ruby and Sapphire. Played a lot of those. Then a bit of Platinum, which is Generation 4. It's the same as Diamond with Pearl. And then I didn't play for a while, and then I played Ultra Moon, which is before Shield and Sword. And then on the Switch I played Sword. And that took the classic Pokemon formula and did a bunch of new things with it. But then Legends did a lot of new things with it. It actually innovated, and it seems that the new games are supposed to be like that. There will be open world, and there will be co-op, 4-player co-op, which is interesting. That never was a thing in Pokemon games. But to answer your question, they bring up a new Pokemon game every 3 to 4 years, and you like the formula, so you keep playing. It's like playing Final Fantasy every time, or something like that. Because Pokemon battle system is fun, and usually they're the Pokemon Metroidvania-esque puzzles that you need to. It's more Link-esque than Metroidvania. Because in Legend of Zelda, you get the bomb, so you can move through specific areas, stuff like that. So the same with Pokemon, you get cut, so you can move through trees. You get strength, so you can push boulders. Same thing, and it's very entertaining. The formula works.
For sure.
And the formula in Legend works even better. The only problem is that in both Sword, Shield, and Legends, they are even though you can say the Switch is an underpowered device and everything, they're not doing great with the graphical performance of those games. While other games, even Nintendo titles like Kirby, for example, are doing much better with it. Kirby and Mario, the remake one that came out that I don't remember, and Link Awakening that came out as well. So those are all Switch games with a lot better aesthetics than Legends and Sword and Shields. So I don't know. The Pokemon Studio is not doing amazingly well with the graphics. I hope that for Scarlet and Crimson, that will be different.
All right, I am half convinced. Maybe I need to finish Shield first, even though I know the story. but it's well, yeah,
I don't
it's an
know.
incredible.
I don't really finish Pokemon games. Like a lot of the time,
Okay.
I will get to the Elite Four, and usually don't beat them, and then those games have a lot more content after that. But usually, it takes like 20, 30 hours to get through the main story and to get to the Elite Four. And by that time, I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'm fulfilled. So it's for me.
Yeah.
It's not about beating the game or anything.
Okay, so that's an interesting perspective because like by the time I going to finish Shield, like, a new one's gonna come out, and I was like, okay, well, do I want to do the same thing all over again in a different game?
Yeah, but
So
the new one is not, as far as we know right now, it's not going to be the same this time. Like it is going to be different
all right,
with the open world and all of that. Yeah.
I'm gonna yeah. Well, you tell me if it's good, and then we can think about it.
And from what we saw in the new trailers and art for the game, it looks like there is some form of time travel involved in those games.
Interesting.
So that's going to be interesting because one of the games mascot is like an ancient dragon type, and the other one is like an electric cyber dragon thing. And there are two professors this time, and one looks like a cave person kind of thing, and the other is like a futuristic hip professor. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm very much waiting. There are a lot of games this year that I'm waiting for. It's going to be a very good year.
But none of them is Baldur's Gate. So
No, I'm not waiting for Baldur's Gate.
what?
That's true.
Okay. Well, different topic, different show. All right.
But before we that was like the first tasting of news. But we are the Burn, by the way. We are a podcast about gaming and blazing fast. In each episode, we talk about a game that we liked or disliked or have something to say about, and then we talk about some news. You can listen to all the episodes at theburn.live and subscribe to listen on your preferred listening app. And that will be it. The game of the show is Old World, which I had my eye on, but I didn't play it. Omer did.
Yes, and I did play quite a lot. So let me ask you this: do you enjoy Civilization?
Yes.
Do you enjoy Crusader Kings? I know the answer is
Yes.
yes. What if they took those two games and mashed them together? That's basically what Old World is trying to
Amazing.
do. Is it though?
I don't know. Is it?
Okay, so let me tell you my experience with it, and then you can decide for yourself. So, when you read the description on paper, it sounds like incredible because I enjoy Civilization. I very much like the Crusader Kings formula. So there's a lot like to take in when you start playing Old World. So first of all, the formula itself is leaning a little bit more to the Civilization side than Crusader Kings. So when you get into the game, the map would like feel very familiar. You get your settlers, you get your workers, you get your tech trees that are more civilization oriented than what we had in as like innovations in Crusader Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And the game is much more structured, so you can win. Like you have certain like win conditions. You have victory points you can collect. So in that sense, it's more like civilization oriented than Crusader Kings. But there's a couple of like interesting innovations. So first of all, you can create your own ruler, but the entire game for now, it's gonna be DLCs, I'm pretty sure. You have about 7 or 8 kingdoms from the old world. So it's all about the Mediterranean kind of like ecosystem or like area, territory, maybe a better word. You got your Greek people, Roman people, Babylonian people, Egyptians, like all that like area. So it's like Mediterranean plus like Middle East a little bit. And there's a couple of like interesting things. So when you start the game, you're going to have all your civilization things you need to do. So get your settlers, get your workers, decide if you want to like expand really fast or invest in military, and you get your barbarians, and you have your neutral tribes, which were added to civilization like at a later stage, but they're default now. So get your like non like AI, or no, maybe not AI, but non like competitor tribes that you can like friends, like neutral cities in civilization, like city states. So you get all that stuff to do. On top of that, you have you have to secure your like successions and rulers and like do all the stuff you do in Crusader Kings almost to an extent. So you have your ruler, which is aging with time. They have their like their family, their spouse, their children. You have a court that you need to manage. You can send the court on like influence missions, so you need to gain influence with foreign rulers and with your court. Make sure your spy master doesn't kill you, like all the stuff you do in Crusader Kings. And you can use your family members and courtiers, I think is the word, to be like generals for your army units and rulers for your cities, and they get bonuses based on their personality types. And the game is like turn-based, very civilization-esque, but you have to, within those, like between turns, you have to deal with events, Crusader King style. So you basically playing two games squished into one, and there's a lot to manage. Like sometimes in civilizations, once you get some sort of like automation, you only focus on the things you want to focus on. And with Crusader Kings, the time just like flows chronologically. So you can decide, if you want the time move fast or slow, and like manage your kingdom in between. Here, you're doing like everything all the time, and it's a lot. So you can reach a certain level of automation, but you still have to deal with all of Crusader Kings and then all of Civilization in one game, which is a handful. So that's one. The game itself introduces two interesting innovations, which I really liked. One is, so in Civilization, every unit gets to move a certain amount of moves, and then you move all your units, and that's your turn.
Mm-hmm.
In Crusader Kings, they have what they call the orders mechanism, where depending on your size and influence and a whole bunch of parameters, you get certain amounts of what they call orders. And you can move a unit more than the amount of moves it can make, or you can choose which units you want to move until you run out of orders. So, you can move, I don't know, scouts further.
So it's a global move count,
yes,
and not per unit.
Exactly. I mean, so units will have some limitations. So the more you move a unit past its capacity, the more orders and more influence you have to use to make it move. And at some point, you'll have to pay with more than resources. So, for example, there's a resource that's called training, which is used for military units. So you can move soldiers, let's say, a few hexagons. And then if you want to move beyond those, it's going to cost you a couple of orders, but then also some training. So if you want to push them beyond their limit. So it's a nice game of resources. The other thing that's interesting, which, by the way, I really like the order system, because you can focus on whatever you want to focus, and then some units you can say, okay, well, I'm gonna wait on those. It's a lot of
totally. In a lot of tactics games, you have like, I don't know, your sniper or something, and you don't want to ever move them, and so and you're waiting for the enemy to come to you or something, and it's wasted actions.
Yes. So here you have more control, which is nice. The other thing is the combat system is slightly different. So in Civilizations, when you attack a unit, you have your attack, and then you defend on the same turn, and that's your resolution of the battle. Here, you attack, you perform an attack, and then that's done. And then in the opponent's turn, they get to decide if they want to counterattack, defend, just like do something else. So the company have a lot of reasons behind it, and they have like a full blog post on why they chose that game design choice. I admit I didn't read it all the way through, but it's okay for what it is. Just different. I think it makes defending easier because you have more control, maybe. So someone attacks you, you have a turn to assemble more units and then counterattack. So I think there's some ways around it, but it's fine. So I think that's kind of that's like everything from everything in one game. It's relationship management, influence, securing your like heritage, courts, all the civilization stuff, technologies, advancements, units, special units based on your old world legacy. That's pretty much it. It's a handful. So it's hard for me to say if I like it or not. So I went in. You have. I mean, you kind of have to.
Let's start like this. What don't you like about it?
It's not that I don't like anything about it. I think I came into this game right after my endeavor in like Crusader Kings. So I'm looking at this game. I was like, I just wanted some civilizations, but now I get like 2 games in one, and there's like ton to manage. But then maybe just my brain immediately like see this kind of map and expect civilization experience. But then also on top of that, I have to manage all that Crusader King stuff. So maybe if I had taken a break and came back to it, it would be more fun. It just feels like tons of management to do, like between turns. So it's like, it's not that you're, in Crusader King and time goes by and things happen. It's like all that stuff happens within the span. So every turn represents a year. So all that stuff is happening within the span of like one turn. So in that sense, it's very like slow, controlled, methodical kind of game.
Just from looking at the UI, it looks complex.
So it took me about, and I took it really slow because I had, life happens in between. But the tutorial is about like 5 like small, let's call it missions or like scenarios you have to resolve. Because you have to do the tutorial. I couldn't make sense of it at the beginning. So after you're done with those, and it took me like a good few hours to finish all those missions, like, I don't know, 4 maybe. And then you're out into the game, and it's like, wow, that's like, all the stuff on top of the tutorial is like a lot. And they said explicitly like the tutorial doesn't cover everything, and you have to discover for yourself a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's complex, but if you played Civilization and Crusader Kings, it's not gonna be complex for you. Mm-hmm. It's just a lot of everything to manage. The one thing I didn't like about it, and it can totally change. I mean, my expectation of this kind of games, it really needs management and like time that you sit and think and like getting immersed, is like a really good soundtrack. And I know it sounds like, very like, complainy, but they could do a better soundtrack than what they have.
Why is this complaining? Why don't you feel comfortable?
Like it's not like gameplay related. It's not like something core mechanism related. But I don't know. Like when I play Civilization or Crusader Kings, like the music is really like
I agree.
Even a better example is Stellaris. Like the music in Stellaris is really contribute to the immersion. Here it's kind of like, I don't know, maybe that's part of the game that they could have like invested more resources into. The cool thing about it, by the way, is that I'm not sure, I think it happened in Civilization as well. You only get to unlock the soundtrack after you research something like early on in the technology tree. So there's no music for a good couple of years. And then you discover drama, and then you get the soundtrack.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's cute. I mean, it's cute. It's cute. I couldn't remember if it's the same in Civilization, but it's a nice touch.
Do you know who are the developers and what they did before? Because I looked it up.
I do not. No.
They are the company behind Off-World Trading Company.
Oh, that's kind of neat. I know that they have a really good game developer journal where they talk about the combat system and all the systems, and I read some of it, but I didn't look it up.
I looked at the store page and I looked at the name. They called Manoach Games, and it sounds familiar, so I clicked on it. And Off-World Trading Company, one of the I wouldn't call it best, but very interesting RTS of the last I don't know, 5-6 years. It's a real-time strategy game in which you compete in a commercial battle against the other opponent. You're basically you build production and you sell things, and you win by acquiring and taking over the companies that compete against you. There is no beside hiring mercenaries to harass your competitors, there is no violence involved in that game. It was a really interesting concept, and it was a very difficult game to play. It was on a level of like an esport RTS thing. And they also released a bunch of DLCs over the years. They're very good in maintaining their games.
Yeah, I have a feeling this one will have a whole bunch of DLCs as well, like more rulers, better maps. The maps and the graphics and everything is great. Like there's no complaints. This is great. Like immersive and everything. Yeah. So I think, after the whole Crusader King experience, if I take a break right now, which I'm doing, like I'm playing other stuff, when I get back to it, I think I'll enjoy it. It's just like you need to be ready to go through the learning curve and decide how deep you want to go into the game. Because there's a lot of resources, and you need to pick the right type of ruler per city. So they also have a mechanism so every, let's call it nation, has like different families or tribes, depending on who you are. And then you can decide which family is ruling which city. And it has like influence on the production of the city, the direction the city evolves into, what they're doing, just like, So you need to pick rulers that are good for the city. And also when you marry people from the family, you need to make sure that they're marrying the right people to secure the future of your nation as a whole. So you don't want to create like split nations within your kingdom. So there's a lot of everything. But I think, if you have an itch for like a civilization type game that isn't Civilization and also have this like unique mechanism, I think it's a good game to give it a try. If you're willing to go through the tutorial.
Good. Excellent.
Yes. So I'm I don't know. I can't like recommend or disrecommend. It's just like I think I need to be on the right frequency to like fully enjoy it. But I can totally see how people get into it and have a great time.
Well, maybe we'll do a recall on it sometime in the future.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Let's talk about news. So first of all, I misspoke about the name of the new Pokemon games, and they are Scarlet and Violet, not Crimson. I don't know where Crimson came from, but yeah, Scarlet and Violet. But we talked about those. Omer, very soon you're not going to have any excuse anymore to not play Persona, because Persona 5 and 3 are coming to PC after Persona 4 Golden is already on there. And not only they are coming to PC, all 3 Persona games are coming to Game Pass. So you're going to be able to play Persona 5 Royale, one of the best games of all time, and bask in the glory of it.
So okay, so one okay, I know I should know this, but you probably know better than I am. Who are the developers behind it? I'm sorry. Heresy question.
No, it's not a heresy question. It's one of those things where the series is developed by an internal studio for a publisher. So the publisher is Atlas. The studio is actually called P Studio, because it's just the internal studio that's developing Persona.
The only reason I'm asking is that I wonder if it ever like make it to cloud gaming, so I can actually play it like on highest settings and enjoy it. Otherwise, it's gonna run on my crap PC.
Persona 5 is not intense in any way.
Okay, Okay. So yeah. So I, after all your recommendations, I'm at least I'll have to give it a try.
And since this is news mainly because, well, beside the fact that those games are coming to PC, it's news because Atlas was for a long time an exclusive PlayStation publisher. For most part, they did some games that were in conjunction with other people, but most of their games were PlayStation exclusives, and now they are not only bringing them to PC, but they are bringing them to the Xbox Game Pass, which also means, by the way, listeners, they're going to be on Xbox, literally. So,
Yes.
so this is a very big departure for Atlas, and some of the other news that came from the big week of not E3 this last week was that Spider-Man is coming to PC.
Yep.
And other such games. So the boundaries of the exclusivity are starting to crumble. We are moving from a strictly exclusive market into a timed exclusivity for most cases. All the big PlayStation games started on the PlayStation and are now moving to PC. And there is a lot of logic behind that because, well, it's more money. So you give them like a window of 6 months, a year, 2 years, and then you release them on PC and you get like more people playing them. And then some of those people bought Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, and then when Forbidden West came out, they wanted to play Forbidden West on launch, so maybe they bought a PlayStation or stuff like that. So both Microsoft and Sony are very much into the PC integrated marketing strategy now. PlayStation in a bit of a delay. They also launched the new PlayStation Plus subscription we talked about in the past, and unlike the Game Pass, that doesn't have like day one launches. So that's the main difference in the strategy between the companies. Sony are trying to keep the day one launched exclusive high price tag thing going with $70 for new games. Speaking of which, the Last of Us remake that we talked about again a few episodes ago is official. It has a launch date, and that will be $70 on the PlayStation 5. I can't say that there is much of a difference between paying 60 and 70 for me if I'm paying for a full price game. So putting an extra $10 on it is not so bad. It does look a bit greedy or annoying because like it's the second time you are remaking this game. Some of us have it from the PS4. It would have been like a bit better if you just gave the upgrade for free at least. I don't know. I'm excited to play it on the PS5 with the upgrades and everything, but the pricing is a bit iffy.
Yes.
So I put a link in the description. There are a lot of other announcement coming off from this not E3 week. Bethesda showed their new games. We got a trailer even before this week. We got a trailer for Dragon Age 4 Dreadwolf, which I'm so waiting for. Inquisition was amazing. The story was so amazing. Great, and I'm waiting. It's the first time, like, Dragon Age Origin was cool. Dragon Age 2 was fine. I liked it, and I didn't realize how they were keep building this massive epic storyline throughout all the games until the end of Trespasser, the DLC for Inquisition. And Dreadwolf will be the first Dragon Age that, like, all of them tied directly to each other, but it's the first Dragon Age where I'm waiting for the new game because I know how the other one ended, and I want to see the continuation of the story. That's something that I didn't have with the last 3 games, and I'm so waiting for that. So yeah, there is a link with basically everything that was announced. Just to say that even in this year, in 2022, we still have half a year left. There are so many games that are going to launch, so many awesome games. We came out of 2021, which wasn't that dramatic, into 2022, which is amazing. So yeah. Now we need to end, but I want to quickly go over 2 other items. One is Activision Blizzard had an internal committee to investigate the claims of harassment in the company, and so this internal committee ruled that there is no evidence for harassment. and literally the whole internet was like, no, really, we didn't know that you say that. And I was just left with thinking, like, I can't imagine they didn't know that will be the reaction. I can't imagine they thought this will fool anyone. It's not even an investors relation thing, because they are in the process of merger with Microsoft, and I can only assume Microsoft themselves will not swallow this excuse. So what is the reason for this charade? I can't fathom it.
It's a classic case of we investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing.
Yes. Or as one of my friends put it, this is the cream, and we put the cat in front of it.
Yes.
So that's a bit of news. It's a nonsensical news because all of us know that Activision Blizzard is a shitty company, and it won't be fixed until Microsoft take it and break it down into its fundamental pieces. But the last piece of news is a very personal news. I launched a game today, actually. It's in playtesting. It's called Tripping Troll Tracker Tales. Listeners can find it on zeroprep.itch.io. That's our gaming studio. It's in playtesting phase. It's an sort of a alpha and a half, as we call it, because like it has the full gameplay features. There is a roadmap of things we want to add in the future, but for right now, the gameplay features are in it. It's working. There's no massive bugs. You can play it. The visuals are not final. There is no audio. So that's the difference between like this release and like future releases. And it's part of a research study we are doing as part of a master's program. So if you are listening and you want to participate, go onto the Itch page. I have a link in the description. There is a link there on how to participate in the study. What is this game? It's a local co-op party game where you are on a running vehicle that has malfunctions, and you need to fix the malfunctions and go as far as you can. That's the premise of the game. And we are studying group dynamics and stuff. So if you want to participate and you want to play, go on an itch. You need 1 to 3 other friends. The game is up to 4 players. And yeah, there are some surveys to fill and stuff like that. It's not a very complicated process. You fill the survey, you play, you fill another survey, you send us your game data, and we do some statistical analysis on it.
Yep. Sounds pretty cool. Now all I need to do is get some friends in real life and play. And
Yep,
great.
it's only local, so you have to have people. And yeah, that's it.
Maybe I'll get my kids to play. We'll see.
That can be done. That's it. That's my news, and we are done.
Sounds awesome.
Maybe we'll if you actually play it, maybe we'll do a segment on the actual game at some point.
Yeah, we should. I saved the link and I'll take care of it.
Awesome. That is all we have on the show today. Thank you for listening. You can find us online on Twitter. I'm at Icel and Omer is at Omer Kaplan. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, comment, and leave your reviews on your preferred listening app at theburn.live. Our opening theme was created by Anderko with vocals by Fishy Twitch, both on Twitter as well. That's it. Until next time, thank you and goodbye.
See ya.